Hey, some friends, welcome back to my channel. I'm Symptomistic, like optimistic, but make it Sims. And we are doing something a little different this time around. I do not usually do videos like this, so please, give me some encouraging vibes and let me know. Definitely thumbs up if you like this type of content. And if you're new here, I tend to do LPs and create a Sim videos. That's just like where I stick to, but I decided to make a video about like how I enjoy The Sims, how I make it fun. So if that sort of thing interests you and you like hearing the different ways people play with The Sims, continue to watch. So we have to start and create a Sim, at least for me. Everything starts with the Sim. The worlds are lovely, the homes are lovely, the gameplay is lovely, but everything starts with the Sim because if I do not like the way the Sim looks, I'm not gonna do it. I can't. So I like to start off with either just messing around and making a completely new sim, but if you have trouble finding like inspiration on like how to make your sim look, or you feel like all your sims end up looking the same, I actually find inspiration from the real world. So if I see someone in a TV show or a movie, or even if I see someone walking down the street that I feel like has a cool look and a cool vibe, I will take certain elements from that person and kind of create a sim. Now, the sim doesn't have to look exactly like that person because it's the game and it's just not what I'm trying. I'm not trying to make real life or sim versions of real life people. It's just to hold inspiration. I want my Sims to be as diverse as the real world, which they're not always super diverse, but I want them to be reflective of the world I live in. So that is something that I do when creating my Sims. These are all things that you don't need CC for. You could use CC. I obviously use CC, as you can see from the sim on the screen, but you don't need CC to create a sim that's similar to someone else, especially like with all these packs and all these things. So I think I'm going to keep the tips in this video to be like not CC focused, and maybe like CC mod related stuff will come in a separate video because I think most of these things are based off of my imagination. Another thing that I do, which is especially important with high school years coming out, is really making sure the Sims look a certain age, whatever age I want them to be in my mind. I try to make sure the adults look like adults and the teens look like teens. Maybe they're 14, maybe they're 17, but that still looks different from a 25-year-old or a 30-year-old, even if not necessarily in the face, because you can't always tell people's ages by their face, but oftentimes you can tell it in their style, you can tell it in even some of their traits. So I try to make sure that there's a difference between my teens, my adults, and my young adults. I don't often show the work I do on Sims bodies because I do think it's a little weird to show that part. I want to give my Sims their privacy, but that is something that's important to my Sim creation, that these Sims have different body types, also that their body types change. That, listen, I go into CAS all the time. It's not just create the Sim and move on. I'm going to be in and out in CAS a lot because Sims go through different life changes, their weight fluctuates, their hairs change, their outfits change. So I try to switch it up depending on what they're going through. Maybe they even gain a little weight in the winter and I want to show that, and the game didn't show that as clearly as I wanted, or they gained weight in places that didn't seem natural. So I try to always make those little tweaks. Also, quick kind of commercial break. If you're enjoying these Sims and you would like to know more about them, like you're new to this channel and you haven't seen these Sims before, the video where I create them is in the description. I just took clips from that video, but if you want to hear their background and like know who they are and more of these plans, I will link that in the description. Now back to your regular scheduled program. So let's go a little bit into traits and aspirations. Now, this is something that I don't really think is exclusive to me. I've heard other simmers talk about this. So I think, great minds think alike, or whatever the expression says. But traits and aspirations can change. You have the ability to change them. Just use your cheat codes. If you don't know them, I can let you know them in the description. But I think we all know at least those by now. And so the traits change depending on what stage of life my sim is. Like I mentioned with teens, those traits may be different. But also, like, my sim may go through a depressive episode where they're more gloomy, or they may be angry at the world, or they may be a little erratic, or maybe they're confident and they weren't always confident. Those things can kind of change. Maybe they're romantic, they are looking for love, and then maybe they're non-committal. Maybe they had a bad relationship and they're just like off this. So I try to change those things depending on what's going on. I try to use those traits as ways to play out the stories in my game. And so, like, certain traits, I don't want to wait for just like the game to tell me what those traits mean. So, like, if I say my sim is a good person, in the game it'll say like, oh, your sim wants to talk about world peace, and like that's lovely, but I want to make sure that my sim is doing charitable work. I want to make sure my sim is helping others or mentoring their little sister. I want to make sure that they're playing out these traits to the best of my imagination. Now, for the aspirations, let's discuss one very important thing. Your sim does not have to achieve all their goals in life. A lot of people do not achieve all of their goals in life, and that is unnecessary pressure to put on your sims. And they're able to change their mind. Maybe they wanted a wealthy lifestyle and now they just care about inner peace. Maybe they have evolved. And so I think some of the fun is having aspirations that they may not actually realize, and that can lead way to other types of storytelling in your game. I also think, with wants and fears coming to the game, maybe this will be even better and there will be a more complicated way to play that out. I'm not sure when this video posts, so I'm not sure if wants and fears are already in your game or when you're even watching this, but I'm sure that'll be a way to enhance the aspiration parts of the game. Now let's go back to clothing and that style. So you can make a sim that looks like person A in real life and have person B's style. It does not have to work out perfectly. You can pick a style and be inspired by that. You can give your sim a favorite color that they wear. You can give your sim a haircut when they're done with a breakup. You can have their style be confusing. I have sims who I'm like, they don't really know their personal style, or they don't care about personal style. They just want to wear the same thing over and over again. They want to get dressed and have it be simple. Now, I will say I'm a person who's into fashion, so I might find this more interesting than a lot of other people. But, if you are interested in fashion, this is a fun way to try out different styles that you might not wear in real life. So I try to do that in my game and just give my sims a lot of personality through their clothing. One thing I don't really see a lot of people do is give their sims different foot sizes. I It's interesting because it's just a small detail. Like, I'm not sure if it really will enhance gameplay or anything like that, but it's something fun to do, to have your sims not all have the same shoe size. And we can't mess with heights unless you have mods, and I personally don't play with those mods and those type of sliders. They kind of freak me out. I see them break a lot in other people's game, so I tend to leave those alone. But I will say I do mess with their feet sizes and just whatever body parts I can mess with. And since we are looking at a child sim, let's talk about child sim style. Now, some people in real life, when they're kids, they are allowed to develop their own style and kind of figure that out. So I kind of do that with sims. Some sims are developing their own style. Some sims are just dressing the way their parent would want them to dress, and they don't really have a choice. And some sims have parents that are struggling and just put some clothes on. Nothing has to go together. So that is also a fun way to make your child Sims look more interesting. I also am very strict on making sure my child Sims have children hairstyles, which, there are some children that have some kind of grown hairstyles, but for the most part, I'm like, is this something that a mom did at home? Like, unless this is a celebrity child with a hairstylist, like, this needs to be something a mom did or auntie did or a dad did. Something somebody did for the kid that didn't really cost a lot of money. And this is going to be my last tip of the video, or my last whatever I do. These aren't really tips. You can do what you want with them. This is just a discussion amongst some friends. And also the sim that I'm making right now in this video, he's really handsome, and you might not be able to see him because the video will end before that. But if you want to see him, click the link in the description. But my last tip is use the sliders. Like, that was an incredible update to the game. As someone who makes a lot of black sims, I don't want them to have ashy skin tones, and or skin tones where the undertones don't like seem realistic. The game just hasn't gotten that quite right, so I find myself playing with sliders a lot, very often. So particularly for complexion, but I also play with sliders like makeup sliders. I play with yeah, I guess that's about it. Makeup sliders. I'm not really sure what other sliders there are. That is pretty much all my tips for how I make my Sims fun by starting in CAS. Now there's a bunch of other things I do once we are into gameplay or building, but that's how I make my Sims fun starting in CAS. I would love to know how you do that in your game. And also let me know if you want to see like me talk about some gameplay, some storytelling things, how I deal with build and buy, even though I do not build ever. I might, redecorate, but I do not build. So let me know if you want to see some of those videos. And you did get to see a glimpse at this very cute sim, but not all of him. So continue to watch my videos. Continue to support sim creators on YouTube by liking and sharing Sims content so that the algorithm knows that you like Sims content. I'm Simtomistic, like optimistic, but make it Sims. Thank you all for watching. Talk to you later, Sim friends. Bye.